The theatrical production In the Name of Salomé is based on a Dominican poet from the late 1800s. She became very well known for her patriotic poems and her influence on women's education, all, by the way, at the young age of 17. The next scheduled performance happens Friday, the 22nd of this month at Repertorio Español in Manhattan. And here to tell us all about the production, playwright Marco Antonio Rodriguez and the lead actress of the play, Dalia Davi. Welcome to you both.
Buenos días, Joe.
Okay, bueno, this is fantastic. My question to you, as you put this together...
Pregúntame.
Aquí está, aquí viene. Did you feel any extra responsibility telling the story of such an icon to present it not only in the form of entertainment, but also it's educational for anyone who comes to see the production?
I didn't feel a responsibility. I felt a duty. I felt that I was called on by her spirit and by these powerful women. I grew up with a bunch of powerful women, my mother, my aunt, my grandmother.
Dominicana también.
Dominicana. And so it was my duty to share this, not just with my generation and an older generation, but with the younger generation.
How did this come about? I mean, was this a brainchild of yours? You said, okay, ahora mismo.
Repertorio Español produced En el Tiempo de las Mariposas and the Time of the Butterflies, which is a novel that Julia Alvarez wrote a few years back, with a lot of success.
Yes.
So they decided to do another adaptation of Julia Alvarez's novel, and they said, well, let's do In the Name of Salomé, because Salomé Entrevista is a Dominican poet that people know so little about.
Yes.
She was born in 1850, revered. She started the first institution for higher learning for women in the Caribbean, and so many people did not really know about her.
Yes,
and so
I always feel guilty admitting that I didn't know as much as I should.
I didn't either.
You do the same thing.
Ni yo tampoco. And so there's even a school named after her.
Yeah, in the Heights.
In the Heights. And so they decided, let's do this. And Julia Alvarez, who wrote a fictional novel inspired by the events of Salomé Entrevista, and her daughter Camila, said, yes, but first I need to talk to Marco. I need to see where he's at, what's his deal. I don't really know him. She interviewed me on the phone for about over 2 hours, and then she said, you're the guy. But do not write the novel, write your play.
Okay, I want to get back to that in a second, because it would seem to me that her character alone would be enough to drive the play, but you felt it important to mix something in there a little bit different.
Correct.
And you felt guilty too, really?
Very
in all honesty,
guilty.
as a fellow Dominicana?
Claro, claro. I did. I was completely blown away. This play has changed my life. And I played Minerva Mirabal for 6 years before, which is the one who brought down the dictator, Trujillo.
Okay.
So I come from that generation where we're like the activists, the Mirabal sisters, the butterfly movement. But then when I found out about Salomé at the age of 17, the poetry, she was published in the Dominican Republic in the 1800s and opened the first high school for women, for females to learn how to read or write. And
so are those just a few of the specific moments in her life that I think make her so relevant to Latin American literature and to Latinas to this day?
Of course. Well, we see Salomé I play her from the age of 9 till when she dies, when she gives birth to her daughter, and we see her children. And
you play her at the age of 9?
Yes. So
you
for
look
me,
fabulous.
Thank you. For me, oh no, this is natural Dominican, Dominicana natural. It changed my life, and as an actress, it was a challenge. First of all, it's in Spanish, and I trained in English. I'm a New Yorker from the Bronx, from the projects. On top of that. And here I am, Repertorio Español gives me a break 6 years ago to play Minerva in Spanish, learning. So on top of that, and then I meet Salomé, and I'm like, oh my God, my culture comes from such heaviness.
Such heritage.
Such heritage, exactly. Like
you have to remember that women in the 1800s were forbidden to learn to read and write.
Yes.
They were forbidden. And so they could learn how to sew, they could learn all the little wife things, you know, how to be a mother, how to be a good housewife, but not reading and writing. And her father, in the novel and in his history, really pushed education with the family. In the play, he doesn't. We create a little conflict.
As so many Latino parents do.
Yes.
They're behind the scenes saying, es tan importante. That
Pero no solamente estudiar, activismo.
Sí, she was. Well, you have a line in the play that says, una mujer educada es una mujer peligrosa.
Wow.
An educated woman is a dangerous woman. And then today, for example, my sister and I are the first to get our college degrees. My mother has an 8th grade education. My aunt never learned how to read or write. So I felt such a responsibility, because you have, as a Dominican American, you always want to kind of go towards the dominance Anglo culture. And then you're like, wait a minute, in my culture, I come from such richness and females.
But with all that richness, you took a few artistic liberties in your production, in your publication, by including and looking at Camila, her daughter, and she plays a big role in the production.
Who was a real person.
Yes, who was a real person. Why did you feel it necessary to make some alterations to the story to include her in such a prominent way?
Camila is a woman, a powerful woman that always lived in the shadows of her family, not just Salomé. Her brother was a big pedagogist, a philosopher, very much known in the education field. And so it was important to me to bring light to a voice that was sort of kind of a little down, kind of in the dark.
Yes.
And so for me, Camila, this is the play. The play is the story of Camila, who in her 70s finds her voice. And that's what the play is about. She's searching for her voice through the story of her mother that she barely knew. And so she finds in the history of the very thing that oppresses her or that puts her down, she finds the light. And she finds her voice in her 70s when she's in her 70s. So that's what the play really is about. It's never too late to find your voice and your activism.
And therefore gives relevance to the young kids of today.
Absolutely. And that's why I also put in there the character of Silvestre, who's a Haitian character, who's young, an artist, and Natalia, who's a young 19, 20-year-old who has issues with her father in the play. And it was important to me for the generations that is a young and younger to connect with the play. And the way to do that is to make sure that we are connecting with them in sort of dialogue that connects with their world.
Tenemos un minuto. What's the best compliment that you can get from an audience member who has just seen the production?
I didn't know that this existed. That to me is the best compliment. And thank you for empowering me. Actually, we had some audience members that waited for us to come out after the show and said, thank you for empowering us.
Yeah.
And that to me is the greatest compliment.
It speaks the world.
And I just want to say that Zulema Clares is the actress that plays Camila, and we both helmed this show, and it's important for me to...
30 seconds left. I'll show people where to get tickets in a moment. Tickets are still available, but
they are.
How much does it cost if you want to go see the show?
Starting at $15 and goes right up.
All right up.
From there.
And you should. And the next show is the 22nd.
The 22nd.
Here's the information. Aquí está. Friday, September 22nd, 8 p.m. Repertorio Español, 130 27th Street in Manhattan, and that's the number for more ticket info. Un placer.
Igual, gracias a ti, Torres.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Tiempo community calendar for this week cuando regresemos.